Good morning, and welcome to Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton, Maryland. I'm Brian Boudreau, the Clerk of Session here at Ark and Dove, and your host in the lobby. I'm glad you could join us today. If you follow the news, there's been a lot of talk about reopening. I have Worship Elder Ellen Makar here with me today to discuss the plans for Ark and Dove and the efforts by so many people here at Ark and Dove to try and keep us all safe. Today is Ascension Sunday. In worship, we will hear the band play a new song for us by Gungor. And Gungor is a very popular indie rock progressive spiritual band. If we were in normal times, today's service would feature songs by Gungor throughout the entire service, just like we've had from Mumford & Sons, U2, and the Wren Collective Sundays. Now, are you or someone in your family graduating this year from high school or college? Please let Mondi know by phone or email at admin@arkanddove.org. We would like to honor all of our graduating seniors this year in a few weeks. So please include the graduate's name, school, and if applicable, the degree. And they'll be included in our prayer list and formally acknowledged on June 21st. Now, your generosity has been really great recently, and you can still donate online to the Samaritans Today Fund and the Streaming Services Fund by texting your donation to 410-983-3481. You can do this during the service or any time during the week. Just text the amount followed by the words stream or Good Sam to donate directly to those funds. It's that easy. Also, please keep sending us your selfies. We want to see how you are worshiping at home. This week is chock full of meetings and events. There is something for everybody. So even though we may not be able to meet in person right now, these virtual meetings provide a great opportunity to see our friends in the community. So this Tuesday, May 26th at 7 p.m., the Healing Through Grief small group will be meeting via Zoom. Pastor Tim and Lenny Gardner will be co-facilitating the small group, and it's open to anyone attending Ark and Dove and their family, and anyone who's experienced the death of a loved one, whether it is recent or a long time ago. So while quarantining during COVID-19, many have found grieving for lost loved ones, even a few years ago, a difficult thing to bear. There will also be another meeting on June 10th. So to attend either one, contact Pastor Tim or Lenny to receive a Zoom invitation. For the youth of the church, we have several meetings for different age groups. Godly Play is our Sunday school program for kindergarten through 5th grade, and they meet at 9 o'clock on Sundays. If you have any questions about Godly Play, would like to be put on the list to receive the Zoom invitations, please contact Julie Deppers, the Christian Elder Editor. As the Senior High Fellowship is also meeting on Sunday at 5 p.m. Middle School Fellowship is at Tuesdays at 5:30, and the kindergarten through 5th grade is Wednesdays at 5 p.m. So join in. There's some great lessons and games that they play. For our seniors, tea time is on Thursdays at 3 p.m. via Zoom. If you want an invitation, Pastor Tim can send you one. The parents group will be meeting this Friday on May 29th at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom as well. It's open to anybody at Ark and Dove, and you can contact Nicole Howell for more details. May 26th, we also have at 7 p.m., Pastor John hosting a book discussion on the book Nema by Sarah Blake. It's a contemporary retelling of the flood narrative in Genesis, told from Nema's point of view. Please let Pastor John know if you would like to attend. A little further out, we have Equipping the Saints on Wednesday, June 3rd. That's next week. Pat Devers will lead a group discussion on structured decision-making. Don't know what that is? You need to come join us and find out. And if you're not sure whether you should attend or not, my advice to you is you should attend. Equipping the Saints is intended to help build skills for leading the church, but it is also helpful for building skills for your personal life and work. So please contact Pastor Tim for a Zoom invitation. Now, I am really looking forward to talking to our guests this week because as Worship Elder, Ellen Makar has been instrumental in getting our live stream services online and will lead the initiative in our reopening for in-person services. So I'm glad you could join us today. Welcome, Ellen.
Hi, Brian. Thank you.
I see
You
you're
got
wearing
your
a
mask?
mask. I
Yeah.
have I have my mask right here as well.
Yeah,
So
we don't really need to wear them. Of course, we're in our houses, but we're just trying to model this new normal. It's this once we start talking about reopening and really starting to plan it, boy oh boy, we get into a lot of cans of worms. Um, do we want to jump right into the reopening or
Well, actually, I think before we get to the reopening, because we've got kind of what's going on now, and I think actually some people might not understand what the worship elder is and what your ministry does. So just to kind of lay that out for them, could you describe what they do with the worship ministry?
Sure. Well, I'm fairly new to this role. I just started in January, but of course, I've been active in the ministry for some time. I think it's probably the ministry that has the largest number of volunteers in the church because so many of us participate in the worship service. That's just a wonderful tool going both directions. We love to we as volunteers we like to do it, and then as attendees we like to see other perspectives and lots of different types of voices coming from the various parts of the worship service, from our lay readers to ushers to worship prep people to the floral committee, of course the tech crew. There are lots of many details that go into a worship service: communion prep, communion serving. um, Hundreds of people are active in these areas in normal times. Of course, nowadays, the tech crew has really had to put in a lot more hours to get it together. We've recruited a lot of people, and we just have amazingly talented people that are very generous with their time. It's been wonderful to work with them to get the worship services together, and we've tried to keeps our existing worship volunteers. I mean, they've had to help, right, with worship, with setting up the sanctuary. So typically a worship elder just wrangles all those volunteers.
So everything we see on a Sunday morning, that falls under your ministry. So from the moment you walk in the door through the entire service until you go out, that follows, anything that you see or experience. And there's a lot of behind the scenes work there, isn't there?
And with the caveat, I mean, we're supporting the pastors. The pastor's main job is to put on the worship service, but they fortunately in our denomination, we've always had to be a participatory worship service. So they are encouraging volunteers to get involved. So yeah.
So give us a little peek behind the curtains. What does it look like setting up the sanctuary? Like how does that happen for every Sunday?
Even before that happens, Judy Cooper is our main team leader to schedule everybody, and she keeps the schedules either on Breeze or by sending emails to get people, even things like the prayer of dedication, the prayer of understanding, get those to the lay readers. But as far as setting up the sanctuary, we try to change the banners according to the lectionary reading or the particular topic that the ministers are preaching on. Those banners have a lot of thought behind them, and they're liturgically based. The images are important, and they're very well thought out. We try to keep the flowers, again, seasonal and fresh and special according to the time the service. And of course, communion preparation, make sure all the elements are prepared in the correct way, and we have gluten-free or different options, grape juice or wine for people's preferences. We try to mix up the serving every so often to make sure that people are getting a theologically correct experience, but everybody can enjoy. Are there some people who might not be comfortable walking? Are there people who might not be comfortable carrying something around? So we're, supporting the communion efforts. Similarly with the sacraments, if there's a baptism, if there's a new members, do we have to set up the furniture in a different way?
Oh, excellent. So obviously, a lot of that has changed with the live stream service. There aren't as many as many people going into that. But how many people are actually then in the sanctuary during the live stream service?
Well, we've kept it to 10. It's been difficult, especially in the early days when we were doing live music in the sanctuary. It's a big space, but you kind of gravitate together. So having any more than 10 is just asking for trouble. So we've really kept it under 10. We're pretty much at a routine now where we need 3 people in the tech booth, 1 on the soundboard, because the live stream sound is a little different than what you're hearing in the sanctuary. So that adds quite an element of complexity. We have 1 dedicated person running those cameras that we now have with some fancy software. And we have 1 person still displaying the media shout words for the prayers and that sort of thing. So 3 in the tech booth, of course, Tim and John up on the platform, Margaret and Pat, depending on kind of whose music is prevalent that service. They're both playing their guitar or their piano, and that's about it.
So what about the addition then maybe of lay readers or Beatles? Have you considered that?
Yeah, we're considering it now that especially the stricter stay-at-home orders are lifted. I think we'd like to get, especially, we're considering that. Maybe we can pre-record some of it. Maybe a lay reader can join on a Sunday morning, assuming they're, healthy and comfortable with going out and about. I will say, even on Sunday mornings, the people who are not on camera and not actively saying something are all in masks. We're washing our hands all the time. We're wiping down surfaces all the time. But of course, we're not going to force anybody to come into church. But yes, we are looking for other ways for people to join in.
Right. So the live stream services have been really great, allowing us to stay together and worship together. But I know a lot of us are really looking forward to the day when we can finally get back into the sanctuary. So when we talked to the admin elder, Julia Kirby, last week, we learned that Ark and Dove is receiving advice not just from state and local officials, but also the presbytery and even our insurance company. Where are we today on this reopening?
It's still fluid, I must say. I mean, we did have a session meeting last Wednesday, so that was after Julia and Tim went to the presbytery meeting. We agreed that we're not ready to reopen, both physically what to do and knowing what to do. What is our plan? So Tim has prepared a draft reopening plan that we're going to be circulating around, editing, thinking. I mean, there are really, like I said, so many implications. Christian ed, it is probably not going to, a reopening of the building is not going to include Sunday school anytime soon. Fellowship hour, that is not going to happen. We cannot be eating around each other, maintaining a 6-foot, spacing. Even being in the sanctuary, just numbers wise, I'll tell you that story out of Mount Vernon, Washington, in the Seattle area, where a choir practiced in a large room, and 1 person had the virus and it spread to 52 others, 2 of whom died. That really strongly affected all of our understandings of how this disease progresses. So singing is not going to happen. Singing is a super spreader event, and even with a mask on, it's just too dangerous. So now we're in the sanctuary. We have a very reduced number. How do we decide who gets to come in? These are tough questions. Do we have multiple services? How do we clean in between services? Do we change our air circulation to keep the air moving, keep the air refreshing every, often enough? There's a lot to process, and it's kind of grim, honestly, if you start thinking about it.
So even when we reopen, we may not be able to meet, or we definitely won't be able to meet in the same way that we met before. Is that correct?
Correct. That is for sure correct. But there is hope. Eventually a vaccine will be developed. We all will get immunized, or a large number of us, or some other medical situation may pop up that we can't even imagine right now. Eventually we will go back to normal. It just probably won't be this summer, or really until we're all vaccinated.
Whatever decisions we make, and as we sort of move towards that direction, first off, it sounds like we're still a ways away from actually reconvening in the sanctuary, from what I'm hearing from you. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But it also sounds like we may in the future need some more volunteers. I can't imagine, say, the ushers are able to get everybody in and out. So I'm sure you might be looking for some more volunteers in the future to help with the mechanics of
Absolutely. And on an ongoing basis. I mean, I think we do foresee this going for a long time without, the numbers that we're accustomed to. So needing volunteers in different capacities, right?
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, Alan, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I know that these decisions are not easy. You're trying to look out for the welfare of the entire congregation. And of course, these decisions are being made with everybody. So thank you again for what you're doing for us.
Oh, sure. And thanks, Brian, for hosting the lobby. We all really appreciate hearing these other words. And I will say, the announcement you said about the selfies, it's so great to see each other. It's kind of cringy for me anyway, to take a selfie and send it in, but I know that we all love to see each other. So I would encourage us all to get our pictures in there so we can a little bit more be together.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you again for joining us.
Okay.
And to everybody who tuned in, thank you for joining us today. I count myself blessed every week to be able to bring you this program. I look forward to the day when we can finally meet again in person in the lobby. But until then, I'm reminded of what Pastor Tim said in his message in the archive this week, quoting from Colossians 3, verse 14, above all, clothe yourself with love, which binds everything together. So the masks that we are being asked to wear these days are just a demonstration of that love that we have for one another. So stay safe and have a blessed week, and stay tuned as the live stream service will begin in a moment. See you next week.